Nikki says, let's say I just started my first agency and got my first client. How do I onboard them and get access to edit their listings and all that? What else should I include in the onboarding process? Oh, this is a really good question. You're starting off, you're on your own. There's not going to be a lot of automations. Most important thing is to get organized. So what I can tell you is like how it works here. And then maybe you can deconstruct that if you were going to start your own agency, right? So square one, contract for services gets signed. There's a notification that gets zapped into Slack and the HubSpot, which is our CRM that we use, and automations start getting sent out to the client. That first email is automated. It contains instructions on how to send us permissions so that we can access their accounts. First, they need to send us an invite. You can do that by going into your user permissions, putting in the email and the name of the person. For us, it's one of our MAG emails. And then once we accept the invite, which is done by our project management team, if you're solo, you would have to accept it. Then the client can set the permissions. We have a screenshot of all of the permissions and a video showing them what they need to do and what we need access to. With global permissions and user permissions, there's all kinds of different things that keep changing, like for a while. Even if we had a client that we've had permissions on for a long time, then brand analytics came out, then we had to ask everybody to go into global permissions and give us access to brand analytics, that kind of stuff. Once that happens, in that same email, first, pay your bill. Second, permissions. Third, fill out an onboarding survey. And on this onboarding survey, it recaps what their main goals are, their TACOS goals, their ACOS goals, their ad spend amount per month that they would like to start with. And a lot of times people say, I'll spend whatever you want as long as my ROAS is X. In there is also brand guidelines, types of things like tell us about the history of the brand story so that we can do brand story. There's also creative guidelines and a creative brief, essentially. In this, a link to a shared folder, or they can put their Dropbox link so that we have access to their creative assets so that we can build A+ content, imagery, and all that stuff. And also in there is anything they want that is specific and required for the brand guidelines. That would be specific brand colors for graphics, all that good stuff. And at the very bottom of that is one more little link, and that sends them a t-shirt if they want a MAG t-shirt. So that's all automated, gets sent. Usually, as soon as the contract notification comes into Slack, 15 minutes or so, 30 minutes, myself or Kristen will assign the client to one of our brand management teams based on some internal metrics that we have for client assignments to make sure that everybody's kind of balanced and all that good stuff. The brand manager of that assignment will call the client on the phone and just introduce themselves and say, hey, I'm going to be your director. Do you have any questions about the email that was sent and filling out the survey? Are you having any issues with sending us permissions? No? Okay, cool. I'm going to send you my Calendly link and click on that when you're ready to do your onboarding call. As soon as we have access, the brand management project manager for that team will start assigning out audit tasks to the account specialists on that particular team as well. Those are just initial audits. Everything's in our SOPs and all that. We're going to check account health. We're going to check, do the initial advertising audit. We're going to check any kind of catalog issues, listing issues. A lot of times a client will come on and they have an issue that's been lingering, and that'll be in the onboarding survey, or the salesperson will tell us about it in Slack. Something like, oh, our listing has been down for 3 months. We would really you to focus on that and get that listing back up, or something like that. The brand management team will do their audit. Onboarding call will happen when the client schedules, usually 24 hours, 48 hours, depending on the client. They'll do the onboarding call, go over the survey a little bit, ask any additional questions, make some rapport with the client, figure out what their number one pain point is for the first week, and then continue from there. And that's basically how it works. When you're asking how do you get people to send you permissions, invite, you want to make, what they call a drone account is you're going to make a brand new Amazon account, a new email, and a new phone number. You can use a Google Voice, go to Amazon Seller Central, create a new account, do the OTP. And then after you put the OTP in, it's going to have that big thing that says like, okay, business address, tax information, all that. No, don't fill any of that stuff out. When you get your client, or if you have your own account, all you have to do is send an invite to that new account email, accept it. And then now you have a drone account where you can work on clients, and you invite your clients and they'll show up in a list there. That account's not attached to anything. It's not attached to any business information or anything like that. And it's used to work agency style on multiple accounts, essentially. And nothing gets mixed up and all that good stuff. So really good question, Nikki.